Okay, welcome everyone. We are excited to have you all here tonight to talk about Zumbini and some awesome things that are happening for Michigan AEYC members and anyone interested in Zumbini coming up at our conference, as well as some ongoing opportunities for you year long, and to just find out all about what this crazy word Zumbini means. So we are going to go ahead and get started. Please, before we turn it over to our speaker tonight, if you could just take a look at your name, make sure that it appears in your participant list as the way that you would want it to appear so that we can give you credit in my registry. So if you only have a first name, we might have trouble logging that in my registry. And yes, names will not be in the recording, so you should be fine on that. Go ahead and turn your viewing options to speaker view. That will give you the best viewing option tonight. And tonight we do have the live webinar and a short quiz that will open up for you in the same place that you accessed this training link. You will go ahead and access the quiz there. It's just a 3-question quiz. Once that's completed, we'll go ahead and log your training in my registry for you. If you could have that quiz completed by Friday, the 25th, that would be the deadline for getting credit. Thanks, Diana. So we are excited to talk about Zumbini and Michigan AEYC. And tonight we have with us Katie, you go by Katie Bassler. And Katie has been an instructor in the dance and music industry for 10 years. And she serves as the lead master trainer for the Zumbini program. Her career highlights include appearing on TLC's Sweet Home Sextuplets, which I was not sure what that was. And Katie gave me a little brief introduction to that before we logged on here.
It's
so
my
check
one
that out.
name.
That's a pretty good one. She's has presented at Zumba instructor conventions and is traveling to China to launch the Zumbini program in Asia. She's a certified group fitness instructor and works for the Cleveland Clinic, bringing music and movement to all ages. So everyone join me in welcoming Katie, and we'll turn the screen over to you.
Hello. I hope you guys are all having a fabulous evening and that you've had a great day. And you're wondering what the heck is Zumbini, right? So I am going to just switch my screen here so that you can take a look-see at my PowerPoint. And we're going to have plenty of time for questions at the end. So if at any point you have questions, feel free to type them into the chat and I will be more than happy to answer them for you at the end. I love questions. I'm a question asker, so don't be afraid. No question is off limits. I'm more than happy to answer them for you. First of all, thank you so much to Kelsey. We are so excited with this partnership. Michigan AEYC is something that we've really been excited to partner with, and we can't wait to bring this program to you throughout the year. And we'll talk about a few of the different ways that you can find us and find out more about us. So welcome. So glad that you're here. I will spare you singing the welcome song, even though I feel an urge to do it, but I won't do it. But thrilled that you're here tonight. Let's get started. So number one, what is the Zumbini class, right? So this is what I lovingly refer to as my elevator pitch. You're going to have people that ask, what the heck is Zumbini, right? And so we want to make sure that you guys have a clear understanding of what the class is, what our curriculum is like, why it's educational, what the educational components are. So we're going to go through a lot of that this evening. Number one, typically we are doing caregiver and me classes, right? So it's a 45-minute music and movement experiences. It's typically for ages 0 to 4 with their caregiver. In class, we are dancing, we are singing, we are playing with instruments all throughout that 45 minutes. And I'm sure many of you work with very young children in the education sector. And so we know that their attention spans are quite small. So the goal of this class is that we are constantly moving. We're up, we're down, we're up, we're down, we're up, we're down. That's very intentional, right? We want to make sure that we are keeping their attention as much as possible. Of course, you also know working with young children, they're going to wander away from you. And the goal is to eventually get their attention back when we've moved on to the next thing and to draw them back into a circle, right? We're always teaching and dancing in a circle. That's one of the reasons, is because it gives them something to return to when they've wandered away, which they're guaranteed to do because they're very young children and they're movers and that's what they do, right? One of the primary goals of Zumbini is to expose young children and their families to all of the benefits of using music in the classroom. There are so many positive effects of using music in the classroom, and we actually are going to talk about a few of those today. We know, of course, also that when caregivers are playing with their children, it's a bonding experience. So off the bat, we have caregiver to child bonding, of course, but week over week, you have the same families returning. And so you really will see a lot of child to child bonding and a significant amount of adult to adult bonding. I can't tell you how many times I've had a parent show up to my class and they say, I'm so glad I'm here. I just really wanted to see another grown-up today, because oftentimes they're just seeing maybe them and their kiddos all day long, right? And they're like, okay, I just want to have an adult conversation with someone. So we give them that opportunity, of course, to bond with their child, but also for their children to bond to others and for them to bond to others as well. One of the coolest things about Zumbini is that we have all original music. We love nursery rhymes. We also know that you can find those anywhere, right? You can get them on iTunes. You can buy them on a CD at Walmart. What we wanted to do was create music that's fun and educational, but isn't so irritating to the caregivers that they want to turn it off, right? A lot of children's music can be incredibly irritating. I'm sure you all know the ones that are more annoying than others, but the goal with our music is to make it so enjoyable to listen to that the parents actually don't mind when the kiddo says, oh, can you put on the kangaroo song, or whatever it may be that is their favorite. My niece and nephews are older now, but I've been teaching this program for quite a long time, and they still request to hear some of the music. My 11-year-old niece, she just turned 12 actually a couple days ago, and she still is obsessed with the music and asks for it all the time. So we've tried really hard to make sure that our music is fresh, exciting, fun to listen to, and reflects different cultures around the world. We want to make sure that children are hearing music that they wouldn't necessarily hear when they're watching TV or listening to the radio, right? Different instruments, different sounds, different rhythms, different languages. These are all things that are included in our original music. The beauty of Zumbini is that the education is built into the curriculum. So you as the instructor get to focus on having fun with the kids, being energetic with the kids, playing with them, because built into the curriculum is the things that are going to be working on their cognitive skills, their social skills, their emotional skills, their physical skills. All of these things are already built in. So you get to focus on enjoying the class, having fun with the kiddos, and really bonding with that group that you're working with from week to week. So we have a session format. Typically, we teach in quarterly sessions. You can teach as many classes as you want within those 4 quarters. I personally normally am teaching many trainings, so I teach 1 class a week. Ashley, who is, if you've ever seen our TV show, we have a TV show called Zumbini Time on Baby First TV. You can also find it on YouTube. She does a lot of our creative work for us. She teaches anywhere from 16 to 22 classes a week. So it is essentially her full-time job. With Zumbini, you get to decide what you want to do with it, right? So you want to do it part-time, and eventually maybe you want to build up and go from there. Great. If you want to use it as a summer program to help float in the middle while you're not necessarily in the classroom, that's another great option to do. If you want to teach on the weekends, that's yet another option that you can do. We leave it up to you. We do recommend that you have a session length minimum of 6 weeks and a max of 16. We find that typically the most ideal is anywhere between 8 to 12. That's just because the more repetition the families and the young children have, the more education they're going to walk away with when they're finished with the session. And it's really incredible to see how quickly the children develop over time, right? They start coming into class, and oftentimes they don't quite have a whole lot of eye-hand coordination yet. And so week 1, you may see them pick up maybe some finger symbols, and they will try to clash them together, and they just can't quite do it because they don't have that hand-eye coordination. But a few weeks into class, they may pull that instrument out of the basket and they do it perfectly because they are developing so incredibly rapidly that we know that repetition fosters success. So that's why we encourage them to come week over week for a minimum of 6 weeks so that they really can remember the things that they have learned. We know that children's most common experiences are what they remember best. So we want to make sure that we're driving these common educational experiences home week over week. You will have families that request to attend an individual class. Sometimes they just want to try it before they buy it. We encourage that. We want people to be able to see what the class is all about, especially if it's something that they've never heard before. Like I said earlier, people will ask you, what is Zumbini? I have run through the airport many a times with this tank top on. It's a big smiley face and it's got the word Zumbini on the back, and people will ask me, what is that? It's just because it's fun and exciting to look at and they want to know, right? So don't be afraid to have that in your pocket when people ask, what is Zumbini? Easy peasy, just to mention a few highlights, just to let them know that it's a fun educational class where they can come and play and bond with their kiddo in a fun musical environment. We do have take-home materials. So one of the fundamental goals of Zumbini is not only to use music as an educational tool, but also for the families to sing and dance in their homes. We have really gotten away from, in more recent years and with the rise of technology in our pockets, we've gotten away from singing and dancing in our homes, something that was far more common many years ago, right? Also far more common in other cultures where it's very natural to dance and sing and have fun in your living room, and it's something that is a regular occurrence. So what we want to do is expose young children to music early on. Not sure if you know this, but we actually are born with the ability to find the beat of the music. I don't know about you though, and maybe drop me a line in the chat. How many of you have seen somebody on the dance floor at a wedding and they are just like living their best life, but absolutely in no way, shape, or form on the beat of music, right? I know I've definitely seen it. So what happened there? It's just like any other learning muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it. So the goal is to have them hearing the music in their homes, in the car, day after day, because that is going to help them to maintain being musically adept later on in their life. So we have a couple options for take-home materials. One option is to do a music code. It's just like a plastic credit card. It has a scratch off on the back. They can scratch that off and enter in the code on the Zumbini app, and they'll be able to listen to all the music from that volume. Another option is to do the Zumbini full bundle. That includes a songbook. They also get access to the music on the app, and they get a plush toy of the main character. The plushies are about 4.5, 5 inches tall, so they're not very large, but we have really incredible photos of kids that are holding on tight to them. Sometimes they love to bring them to class just because it's one of their favorite things to hold on to. So we really do try hard to make this as accessible as possible for people. So here's what your physical cards will look like. Now, I'm going to show you a few pages from a Zumbini songbook. So in the songbook, we have, of course, a story, right? So we've got our read-along story. It also has the lyrics to all of the songs. So if you have families that are listening to the music at home and they're like, oh, what? I'm not sure quite what that says, they can check out the lyrics. And oh, my book's disappearing. There we go. Excuse me. I'm going to shut the door so you don't hear that. Oh my, so dramatic. Go ahead. Go get your brother. Ta-da! So of course, everything's fun and colorfully illustrated right along with those. Oh, I'm disappearing. Well, that's all right. Ooh. There we go. Maybe you can see a little bit. Yeah, no worries. But in the book, it also has parent education. Personally, for me, this is my favorite part of the songbook. It talks about why the song is educational for their child and something that they can do at home with their child to facilitate more engagement, bonding, and education. So just to give you an example, I'm just going to pick any one of these songs and we will talk about why this is so educational, right? So let's see here. Oh, I love this one. Okay, so this is for the song Watch Me. Watch Me is actually a dance song, but it talks about different things that they can do in class, right? So the song goes, watch me with my hands go clap, clap, clap. Watch me with my hands go clap, clap, clap. Watch me with my hands go clap, clap, clap. Let's all clap like this. So While that's a dance song, they're hearing the words, right? And then we are physically doing the words that they're hearing in the lyrics. So this is the little paragraph that talks about why this song is educational and what they can do at home with their kiddo. Every child wants you to watch them. So go ahead and watch and see what they do. They also love to watch you, their caregiver and role model. This is how they learn. When you sing, dance, clap, and march with them, they follow. But don't forget that you can switch things around and watch them too. As you listen to this song, pay attention to the tiptoe part in contrast to the next line that says, "Let's get real loud." Putting two contrasting ideas next to each other helps children to learn and understand concepts such as loud and quiet and fast and slow. This song also has a few freezes, and even the youngest children will learn to pay attention and be quiet during the silence. So again, while the families oftentimes are experiencing the music as fun, there is so much education built into the music and the curriculum, which of course is very intentional. So Zumbini works off of a licensing agreement. We have what's called the Play Network, and Play Network is our support network for all of our instructors. Being a member of Play includes an indefinite teaching license, meaning that you don't have to retake the training every 6 months. It'll maintain your license as long as you're a member of the Play Network. It'll give you access to all of the Zumbini music. We have 4 volumes of music. It's going to give you access to all of that music. It'll give you access to all of the review videos. So for every single song, we have a review video, and that review video goes over what the song is about, why it's educational, and how you can use it, right? So if it's a dance song, it's going to show you exactly how to do it as a dance that's appropriate for young children. If it's a scarf dance, it's going to show you how to dance with a scarf, and it'll show you things like crossing the midline of the body, which of course we know is so important. If it's a sit and sing song, the review video is going to show you exactly how to sing it, how you can transition them from sitting down to standing up, or from standing up to sitting down while you're singing that song. And of course, one of my favorite parts, and it talks about this with you, is how you can improv with the kids, right? We have one of the favorite songs on our first volume is called Breakfast. And we talk about breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And we talk about what our favorite foods are. What do we like to eat? What don't we like to eat? What's your favorite dessert? What's your favorite vegetable? What did you have for dinner last night? And what's really fun is when they start to interact with you and you can start to sing about the things that they're suggesting. So improving is one of the pinnacles of class. They really, really love it. And the review videos are going to teach you exactly how you can do that in class. You can list all of your classes on Zumbini.com for advertising. So what's really cool about that is that you as instructors can post on our website, and then we actually start to advertise your classes for you on your behalf. So we'll look at the location that you're teaching in. We will look at the, typically within a 10-mile radius of that location. We'll look for parents that are a certain age with kids that are in a certain age range. So it's very targeted marketing so that we can deliver an ad to them. And when they click on the ad, it actually goes directly to your session page and they can register right there for your session. You have the option to teach Zumbini for schools. That's not an additional licensing fee. Zumbini for schools is our adapted program. So if you want to teach the Zumbini curriculum as part of maybe your daycare or preschool system, you can do that using the Zumbini for schools training. You can take payment or just reservations through Zumbini.com. We also have an app that allows you to do it as well, and it's very easy and seamless to use. Personally, I like taking payment through the website just because I am not great about remembering to chase people for money. So if somebody registers and RSVPs and then I forget and then I don't realize and then I have to ask them if they've paid and all that kind of fun stuff. So for me, it's just easier to take payment through the website. But say you're going to be teaching through a school system. Maybe you're going to use it as an after-school program. One of the cool things about it is that they can RSVP on the website, but your facility can take payment instead. So if that's something that works better for you and your facility, that's something that you can absolutely do as well. Of course, we have all kinds of fun, exciting instructor apparel, instruments, all kinds of accessories. We've got tons of digital and physical marketing materials, lots of social media assets because we know that that's so popular and we're constantly updating those at least once a week. And of course, lots more support. We have Last I counted, we had close to 100 hours of video material that you can watch and kind of submerge yourself in it. We always tell people the more you know about it, the more you're going to be able to speak eloquently about it, and the more parents will trust you and come back to you session over session. And you will have a lot of families that return class after class because they love you, the instructor, they love the curriculum, they connect with you. And so you have families that oftentimes will have many children over a long period of time. I had one family with me for over 7 years because the mom just kept having kiddos and she just kept bringing them to class. So it's really cool because it really creates this community within your greater community where you get to visit and connect with these families over time. Play is an annual fee broken down into monthly payments of $35 a month. And please let me know if you have any questions on that. I'll be happy to answer them for you. So who is the Zumbini instructor? Hopefully you, right? You need to have a passion for music. Have an engaging teaching ability, which I know you all already have because you're already educators, right? You need to have a rhythm and be able to carry a tune. This does not mean sing an opera. Okay. What this means is I can sing ABCs with confidence, right? When you're working with very young children like this, at this age range, it's more about your storytelling ability, right? How well can you tell the story while you're singing? That's really what they're looking for. You need to have fun singing and dancing with a childlike, but not a childish freedom, right? There's definitely a difference between getting down on a child's level or acting like a child. So you want to find that fine balance between the two. You need to have a desire to work with two different audiences because traditional Zumbini is with a caregiver and the child, right? Which it may feel really great for you as teachers because oftentimes you're pretty outnumbered, right? So it may feel really nice for you to have caregivers there that are in charge of their own kiddos while you're teaching in your class. And of course, you need to commit to teaching multi-week sessions, which is nothing new for you because you are all fantastic teachers and that's what you do all year long. So let's talk a little bit about our philosophy. Number one, we know that music is inherent. We are born with the ability to find the beat of the music, which is what I mentioned earlier. It is so incredible because I've had kids that are very young in class. I've had as young as 6 weeks in my class, actually. And when they are old enough to sit up on the floor and you put on a piece of music, they will bounce on the beat of the music. It is so incredible to watch because they are so musically adept right off the bat. It's amazing. We know that music is fun, right? You put on a piece of music, you can't be in a bad mood, right? We know that music is easy. It invokes movement in, of course, the youngest of children, but also the oldest of adults. It is incredible how they use music with patients that have Alzheimer's and dementia. I personally teach a class at a memory care center. We do chair stretch, and it is so amazing because yes, they connect with me, even though oftentimes they don't remember me from week to week, but what they do remember is my music. And so it's music that they're more familiar with because maybe it's Frank Sinatra or Dean Martin, anything from the Rat Pack. Mamma Mia soundtrack is very popular right now. So music is incredibly powerful, even for our oldest generation. The other thing that we really rely on for traditional Zumbini is that caregiver participation is required. This is not the type of class where they're going to bring in their kiddo and then they're going to go into the lobby and be on their phone for 45 minutes while you entertain their child. That's not what this is. This is 45 minutes of nonstop interaction with their child. But you set them up for success, right? We give you all of the tools to let them know ahead of time, hey, this is what we're going to be doing in class. So come prepared to have fun and dance and wiggle and sing with your child. So when we talk about learning categories, these are the learning categories that we really put thought into when we created the curriculum. So of course, immediately we know that there's tons of cognitive development, right? Language development, sound development, even some of the music that we have in some of our volumes are not entire words. We will have them, and we call them echo songs, where we sing and they sing back to us, and we'll sing la, 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 and we wait for them to sing back to us. So we're working on that as well. Lots of language development involved there. Of course, we have our motor skills. and we have our gross motor skills and we have our fine motor skills, right? So things like running and freezing, standing on one leg like a kangaroo, these are all things that we do in class. When you think of your fine motor movement, holding on to those small instruments, right? We've got eggs that we use. Sometimes we use scarves. We always use scarves in class. We will play peekaboo with them. So they really work on that fine motor movement as well. We have music stimulations and musical concepts. So we at Zumbini always say that we don't teach music, we use music to teach, right? There are incredible programs out there that actually teach, this is a quarter note, this is an eighth note, this is what staccato means. We do use that in the classroom, but we're not verbally telling them, okay, everybody, that's what this is, right? We are using music though as a tool. So children are hearing the rhythm of things, the beat of things, the timing of music, right? What things feel like the chorus versus what things feel like the verse. So that's all things that they're processing while they're listening to what we're doing in class. We have a lot of unsynchronized musical behavior. You will have very young children in the classroom that when you turn on the music, they unintentionally will start to move. A little leg will kick out, a little arm will kick out, and they get very excited and they start to wiggle to the music. It's not necessarily something they're telling themselves to do. It's something that their body is responding to with the music. There is a very large social component in this class because we're in a group environment, right? We're with everybody week over week. We're learning about sharing, learning that not everyone looks like us, sounds like us, acts like us, talks like us, that there are all different people in the world and we're exposing them to that. Self-esteem is a huge one. We have a lot of self-esteem building built into the curriculum. You will find that your older kids often be the ones in the class that they want to help you get things out, put things away, hit the lights maybe when it's time for class to be finished. You also have a lot of self-esteem building when you know their names. We very intentionally sing their names in the welcome song and the goodbye song so that they know that we know that they're there. When we improv with them, that's another self-esteem boosting component. When they suggest what they want to eat or what their favorite food is or what instrument they want to play that day, and we then sing about that, that's a big self-esteem boost for them. We know that there is a large emotional component because we have the caregivers and the children there together. And we really have made sure that there's ample time for shared play and eye contact because we know how important that is. One of the best things that you can do with your children to bond with them and build that and strengthen that bond is to play with them. There's a lot of continuity and structure because we know that ritual activity is so important, even in adulthood, right? I can't tell you how many times I've left work, I've driven home, I get home and I pull in my driveway and I don't even really remember driving. I don't remember the drive, right? Because it's ritual activity. It's things that you do every day that you don't even think about, it just happens. So because of that, we try and think about ritual activity that we've got going on in class, right? The pattern of class is always the same. It never changes. The songs that you use, you'll plug and play throughout and it'll change week over week, but the structure, the bones of your lesson plan are always going to stay the same. We encourage continuity when it comes to doing anything in the classroom, whether it's where you store your instruments, how you get your instruments out, how you put away your scarves, the cleanups that you do. We encourage all that to be ritual activity because that structure is really so critical, and the continuity is what helps them to know what's coming next so that it's a lot more controlled chaos instead of all out chaos because they have no idea what's going on. And of course, community is a given, right? Because you've got families coming week over week, session over session, year over year. So Zumbini is very strongly dedicated to reaching all styles of learners, right? We know how critically important it is and how much easier it is for a child to learn when you are reaching them at their level and style of learning. So if you're there at home, if you fold your hands like so, right? Just fold your fingers together. So there's one way that you do this naturally all the time, right? Most likely, unless you're incredibly ambidextrous. And if so, that's awesome. Now, take your hands and completely flip it so that the other fingers are laced and the other thumb is on top. Doesn't that feel so strange? You could do it but it felt pretty odd, right? So if you do it like this all the time, if this is what's most comfortable for you, and we are forcing the kids to try and learn this way, they might get it eventually, but it's really uncomfortable. And why would we do that, right? So we really encourage meeting the children where they are at any given moment, which is one of the reasons why I truly love this program, because it's incredibly inclusive. Anyone can bring their child to a Zumbini class and they're going to have a fun, exciting bonding time with their child. And in the training, of course, we get a lot more deep into different learning styles, how we apply those methods in the classroom and so forth. So nursery rhymes, phonological skills, and reading. That's a whole sentence, right? But I actually am just going to read this straight for you because it's incredible information that I really, really love. There is a strong relation between early knowledge of nursery rhymes and success in reading and spelling over the next 3 years, even after differences in social background, IQ, and the children's phonological skills at the start of the project are taken into account. This raises the question of how nursery rhymes have such an effect. Our answer is that knowledge of nursery rhymes enhances children's phonological sensitivity, which in turn helps them to learn to read. I have many friends that are early childhood intervention in like pre-K all the way through 6th grade. And it is so interesting to me, the discussions that we have had about how excellent nursery rhymes are at helping children to learn to read, not only because of the cadence and the rhythm and the syllables, but also with the rhyming. Rhyming is very helpful because they can recognize the patterns that the words sound the same. And when they are then looking at something to read, if they recognize that words look the same, they can make the connection that they sound similar as well. So nursery rhymes and rhyming in general and singing is a really awesome, helpful component when it comes to helping children learn to read. This is another great quote. Studies on struggling readers involved in systematic music classes with special emphasis on rhythmic perception and production yielded significant positive results in reading, and studies that further incorporated kinesthetic movement into the program yielded additional improvements in auditory attention, phonological awareness, and reading abilities. And what I love about this is that we actually do that as well. So oftentimes while we're singing, we are moving our bodies. And anytime we do a dance, we have a lot of movement included in the 45-minute curriculum. That's very intentional because not only is it physical things that they're learning, but they are helping in addition to using their mouths and physically moving at the same time. So how does this go together with Zumbini? So we know that nursery rhymes have a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? Zumbini sit and sing songs are written with this exact same pattern, right? And this is something that we really dive deeply into in a training, that there is a beginning, a middle, and an end, and how to demonstrate that. Every Zumbini song, regardless of whether it's a sit and sing or a dance or an instrument song, it's all written with patterns, intentional patterns. So we're helping the children to memorize not just the words, but also the rhythm of each song, because that's so, so important, again, with that connection of reading, because we know that there's a rhythm and a cadence to reading. So we talked a little bit earlier about Zumbini for schools and that it was available as an additional program that you can tack on. Zumbini for schools is our adapted format. So that means that you're going to have limited caregivers on hand. It could just be you and maybe an assistant, and then a very large group of young children, typically anywhere between 2 and 5, depending on the facility that you're going to be teaching in. This is the adapted format because you have less hands to help you, right? So off the bat, that means the class is going to be 30 minutes instead of 45, right? Because we want to make sure that we don't start to lose their attention, which can happen, especially with this older age range when there's just you and this whole very large group of kiddos. This is a completely online learning module that you can do online once you've completed the initial Caregiver and Me training. You also have other options to teach this program, like private classes. So if you have families in your neighborhood, particularly right now, we have found that this is a very popular option, which is teaching private classes. So if you've got families in your neighborhood that know you and are feeling a little underwhelmed with going out and hanging out in the public with their very young children, this is a great option. You can teach private classes. Some instructors teach out of their own home. Other instructors will teach like out of their neighborhood clubhouse. Still more are teaching virtually, and we have a whole suite of things, instructional guidance, videos, everything from how to create a Facebook event to get traction for it to exactly how to use Zoom so that you have your music perfectly plugged in and ready to go. We have full classroom videos that you can watch to kind of give you an idea of what your virtual class is to look like. So we really have tried hard to help our instructors pivot and to make sure that they can still gain traction, keep their families happy, and keep creating that income that they had become so used to prior to the pandemic. So lots of options. We've got Zumbini for schools. We've got traditional Zumbini. We've got private classes. We have virtual classes. We have instructors that teach in all types of facilities. We've got instructors that teach in libraries. We have an instructor that teaches in a coffee shop because they have space. We have an instructor that teaches in a pediatrician's office because they have space. We have several instructors that work specifically with certain communities. We have instructors that teach specifically with children that are on the autism spectrum or Asperger's. We have instructors that teach specifically with families with children that have Down syndrome. So there's lots of options and things that you can do with the program. We even have some instructors that are using it in children's hospitals, not only for a bonding experience, but also a great experience for the kids to just have fun for a few minutes when they're really dealing with a super stressful time in their lives. It's something that they're really using a lot in their art therapy programs and things like that, which we're very, very excited about. So I think that I've covered everything that I wanted to cover, but I would imagine that you have some questions about what Zumbini is or anything about anything that I just said. So feel free to pop them in the chat and I will be happy to answer any questions that you've got. I'm thrilled that you all were here today. And it looks like we have people from all over Michigan, which is super fabulous. I'm sure you all are dealing with this fantastic weather. I'm in Northeast Ohio, so I feel your pain. One of these days, we're going to go somewhere where it is warm and sunny all the time.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you so much for that. It was a lot of information. It was all super valuable. I'm sure that folks have some questions, so I'll give an opportunity to, feel free to unmute, ask your questions live if you'd like, or if you want to go ahead and type those in the chat box, we can ask them on your behalf.
Either way works for me. While you guys are typing and or thinking, I do want to mention we have a very large discount for you as members. So you have a few options for taking this training. You can do it on demand, which is a popular option. I know often for parents and people that work full time because you can stop and start as needed until the training is complete. We have an option where you can join a trainer like me live on Zoom, and you get to have that live interaction. We also are going to be hosting a training at the conference that's coming up in May, which I'm super excited about. And again, those are all very heavily discounted. There is a promo code that you all can use. I will type it in the chat, and that will apply for your on-demand training as well as your live Zoom. And then you also get an even more fabulous bonus discount if you're coming to the conference. So I would love to see you there.
I have a question, and it's easier to ask than type.
Ask it, darling.
Okay, so I teach for the Michigan GSRP program, which is an at-risk program. So a lot of my families are, not well off. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about doing this training and then just offering it to my parents at first. I mean, there might be other avenues I could go to make money. Is that okay, I guess, is my question.
I love this question. I'm so glad that you asked this. So we have many, many instructors that do community outreach in areas where they're more socioeconomically depressed. And we have many instructors that are funded through grants. We have lots of instructors that teach via Head Start grants. We have some instructors that teach via library grants. And we are absolutely thrilled because this is an educational program that they have the funding that they are able to do that. So yes, we are more than happy if you want to provide it. Also, please know that there are ways for you to apply for grants and get the funding for it as well, so that you can at least pay yourself a little bit for your time or your investment. But we highly encourage that.
That's great. Thanks.
You're so welcome. Awesome. See, I told you I love questions.
I had a question.
Sure.
And that is, are you going to have the materials and everything like that ready and available for purchase at the conference, so that after, if we choose to be trained, that we'll be able to collect those materials and be able to hit the road running?
Ooh, I love this. Okay, so great question. The materials that you will leave with that day are going to be your instructor manual, and you'll have your initial bundle. And that bundle is going to be your storybook. It'll give you access to the music on the app so that you can begin practicing immediately. As soon as you join Play, you're going to be able to see all of those review videos, which is really the key to the kingdom, essentially. Once you have access to all that, you're good to go. And that happens immediately. So once you complete the training, both the on-site portion and the online version, you're good to go. Or the online portion is what I meant, because there's like a 2-part to it. Once that's done, you can hit the ground running. As far as like shipping instruments, if you don't have all the instruments that you need, I'm not going to be bringing that with me. I don't think. I will be driving though. So if I need to order some ahead of time and we think that's something that we need, it's doable and I can do that. I can also drop ship it to the facility. But I will say our shipping is fast. As a general rule, you're going to have your things in under 5 days. The warehouse is not far from Michigan at all. Usually things are shipping from Pennsylvania. So you always have everything within 7 days for sure. Unless we have a blizzard, which hopefully in May we will not have. Fingers crossed, toes crossed.
Okay, so if I understand that, we have the in-person portion and then we have an online portion. And then after that, we'll be able to purchase the materials. And that's exactly what I was talking about, where the instruments and the scarves, and then some of those little dolls and stuff like that, just like a starter kit, so that you could do a class with everything that you needed.
Yes, we have that available. Super easy to order. You get a huge discount on it as a Play member. So when you log into the website, it'll give you an option. You can click on the shop and you'll be able to see all of the things that come. And we literally have a starter kit because we find that that's typically what most instructors need. And it'll include your bongos, your scarves, your rhythm sticks, your bells, your egg shakers. You can also order bundles there as well. I find for me, as a rule, I typically don't order the bundles until I have my registrations, because of the fact that they ship so quickly that unless somebody registers the day before, I'm going to have it there for them. Some instructors choose to have a few extra on hand. That's totally okay if you want to do that. But just know that it's okay if you want to wait until somebody registers before you start to invest that additional money in take-home materials.
I'm going to try to do it like Marlene spoke about, where we live in an area that I probably won't charge. I'll probably try to find a grant to incur all those costs. So I would probably not wait for people to register. I would want to know, like, okay, I could take 12 families or whatever and have the materials for that, or do the school part and have the same thing. So just trying to think ahead how this could work.
Yeah. And also, we can also do, like, if you need anything like tax deductible, things like that, always let us know and we can invoice you the proper way to assist you with that.
Katie, can you clarify for those that might be joining us in person in Grand Rapids for that training? I'll just share that that's a Friday morning and a Saturday morning as part of that conference.
We'll be having coffee. No.
Yeah, it's not too early. It's after the keynote. We'll be okay. But I wondered then, what would their additional time commitment be for the online portion?
I have been told that the online portion is anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. It is also self-paced. Really what it comes down to is the quizzes in between. The quizzes are not made to be hard or complicated or trip you up. The quizzes are quite literally things like, where's an appropriate place to have a Zumbini class? At a rec center, at a library, at the bar. Like, it's not hard questions. It's just there to make sure. Now, don't go doing it in the bar unless it's in the morning, everyone. But it's questions that are just legitimately there to make sure that you are actually watching the videos. And that portion of it is going to cover more of like your business questions. The in-person stuff is going to cover a lot more of the curriculum, what our philosophies are, things like that. And the online portion is going to finish out your business stuff.
Great. So that I'm hoping we've maybe answered Kimberly Bell's question in the chat where she asked, how long does it take to become a full instructor? So maybe 6 to 8 hours. Is that a fair estimate with the 6 hours of in-person for conference training and then an additional couple of hours?
Right. Yeah. Like I said, it's self-paced, that secondary portion. So it's totally dependent on how quick you get through it. Anything else that we're wondering?
I just want to share that the discount code is for 75% off of your instructor training. So it is a significant savings for our Michigan AUIC members to be able to utilize that code.
Yeah, so it's going to take you guys from a $280 training all the way down to $70. And that was very purposeful because we know that your job is already hard and you're already investing so much money in things that we really tried to make it a reachable amount and not something that would be so overwhelming that you felt like you absolutely couldn't do it. You can also, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us directly to our email. Even if you're anything like me, I lie in bed at night and think, oh, I should have asked that question. So if you think of something in the middle of the night, you can always email us too. Our email is easy. It's just support, SUPPORT @Zumbini.com. I will pop it in the chat. So if you want to write it down, you absolutely can. How long do we have to register? Erin, that code does not currently expire until the end of the year. So if you need a half a second to think about it, you have a half a second to think about it. But if you're coming to the conference, you're so welcome. Then, come hang out with us because I'll be there. And I will totally wear this hot pink tank top and you won't be able to miss me. What's the yearly fee? Yearly fee is an annual fee broken down into monthly payments of $35. So altogether, it's going to be $420.
Does that also include the school materials or the school curriculum?
Great question. So when you register for Play, included in that registration, it's going to include your school's training as well. And that is not an additional licensing fee. It's not like, oh, it's 35 and then it's another 20 a month if you want to do schools. That's not how it works. It's all included in that 35.
I do have one more kind of off the wall question.
I'm ready for it. Listen, I've heard them all, I think.
So what if someone is a member of an AYC and then they are not coming to the conference? Did you say that there was a virtual instruction component that they could do as opposed to being in person? So technically someone who doesn't attend the conference could still get in on this.
Yes, they absolutely can. So that code that I put in the chat box, that MIAEYC in all caps, that code will apply to the on-demand training and also the live Zoom trainings. So either one of those is an option and that code will work for both of those as well.
I just want to point out also that if you are coming to the conference and signing up for that live training with Katie, that is absolutely free to our Michigan AEYC members.
Woo-hoo! I love free.
So there is that $75 fee for the training would not apply to you. You would receive that free training as long as you are a standard or premium Michigan AEYC member. The entry-level membership does not qualify for that. But if you are a non-member or an entry-level member, it's still a drastic reduction in price of $35. So come to the conference if you're able to get the training in there. That's definitely the most affordable place to do it. If you're not able to, then we still have that great discount to use through the rest of the year.
Yeah, for sure. And Pat has a great question. If you charge for your classes, does a percentage go to Play or Zumbini? No, it does not. We will not take a percentage off the top. The only thing that you're ever going to pay us for is the initial training and your Play membership. and then anything that you order through the shop. We don't take a cut or a percentage off the top. If you're going to accept a credit card, our credit card processor is PayPal, and PayPal does take 2.9% as their processing credit card fee. That's not something though that we take. That's PayPal's deduction for using a credit card.
Will you have information about how to do the grant? Or
Yeah,
where
so
to get grant?
actually, when you, once you have completed the training and you join Play, when you log into the system, there's actually a full kit. So there's several pages of information that's going to talk you through it. There's also a video from one of our instructors who teach it. She's actually one of our trainers. She teaches 7 or 8 classes a week for Head Start in Arizona. And she does that full time. She's got packed classes every day of the week, and it's all grant funded. Karen's cat joined us, and I'm so excited.
These are some awesome questions.
I know, this is good stuff.
Yeah.
So if we come to the MIAC conference, then we don't need to register separately for the class?
Correct. You will need to
Okay.
register at the conference though, correct, on the website?
You'll actually, the registration for the live Zumbini training at conference is open now. So you do have to pre-register to be able to attend that. You can't walk in the day of, but no, you just pre-register for that and you're all set.
All right, I do have another question really quickly. How about this? What if you have a student membership? If you're a college student and you attend, is the fee $70 to be able to do that training?
Okay, so let me back up. So you mean a student registration for the conference?
Yeah. Or would that not count? How does that work?
That's fine, as long as you're a Michigan AEY or you're a NACE member, Michigan AEYC member at the standard or premium level. Even if you're getting the student rate for the conference registration, you're still a member at the standard or premium level. So as long as that, if you log into your NAEYC account, you can check your membership level. As long as it says standard or premium, then you are good to go.
That was a good question. We have good questions in this group.
Well, Katie did put her email in there, support@zoombini.com. If you have any specific Zoombini related questions or about what might happen at the training, anything related to registering for that conference class or utilizing the discount code, feel free to give our Michigan AEYC email an inquiry at miaeyc@miaeyc.org. And then I just wanted to thank Katie so much for including all of this amazing information. It was very valuable. I feel like I knew a lot about Zumbini, but I learned a whole lot just listening today. So thank you for coming, and we're really excited to have your energy and have you back in person in our conference at May.
It was my pleasure. It's in my calendar. I can't wait to see everybody. I'm super excited.
Well, thank you all for joining tonight. Just a reminder that that quiz is going to be available for you in Knowledge Center. So make sure you take that quick 3-question quiz so we can give you your training credit. Visit the Michigan AEYC webpage for more conference information and upcoming professional development opportunities. Everybody have a wonderful night, and thanks so much for joining us.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for coming.